Welcome to the Fill Your Cups podcast. We're your hosts, Morgan
and Bailey.
Hello, everybody. It is a bonus book club episode. And today we actually have a special guest here. So it might get confusing, actually. I didn't think about this, but
Yeah.
I'm Morgan, and our guest here today is Morgan.
Also Morgan. Morgan J.
Yes.
Both of us are Morgan J.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that's not any easier.
Nope.
Morgan J.
Yeah, we both have middle names that start with J. So,
Yep.
but Morgan is Bailey's sister-in-law and also one of our book club besties. And are those the main connections?
I guess so.
Okay, because I was like,
Besides, also work friend.
yes, yes, and one of our very good friends. So she is decked out. If you're watching on YouTube, you know this, but she's decked out in her book club. It's a good day to read a book sweatshirt.
I think you got this for me.
I was wondering if I did like 2 Christmases.
It's either
3
you
Christmases
or
ago.
Jordan. One of you two got it.
I think I got you that one, and I think Jordan got you another one.
Okay, yeah.
But I loved that one because
Yeah.
I thought it was cute.
It is
That
really
is
cute.
so cute.
It
always
must
a
have
good
been
thing.
like 2 Christmases ago because I bet that we were both reading books, and I was like, she'll love this.
Yeah. It's cute. I love it. I wear it all the time.
Good.
I like it a lot too. And then we both also have our bookworm socks on. They're our book club socks.
I wish I had worn mine. I wore
Well,
like cabin socks.
I have another pair, but I think we're
Keep
good.
'em.
I think we're good. But yeah, so Morgan's here because we're talking about We Ride Upon Sticks, which was
Quan Barry, right?
Mhm.
by Quan Barry. Good memory. I did not remember that.
I don't know how I did.
Yeah, but Bailey did not quite get through this one. Actually, several people in our book club did not get through this one or didn't even start it.
Yeah.
But
Do you want to tell them how far you got?
Yes. So at book club, I kept claiming that I got 11%, and I thought that I did. I looked last night on my Kindle, I got 5%.
Oh my god.
I felt like it was at least 40, but
It was a slog. Yeah.
that is so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Morgan's here to kind of supplement the conversation because the other 95% that Bailey didn't read might have gotten lost in our
I
conversation.
really
So,
think we would have had about 5% to talk about,
yeah.
and then I would have been like, let's talk about other books.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Morgan did finish. She's here to help supplement. We usually on our book club episodes, we don't do like a shout out or like a what's filling your cup or whatever. But we did this morning have some fun. We all have different drinks this morning.
Yeah.
So Morgan, tell us what's filling your cup today.
I have a shaken espresso for Summer Moon. It's like my favorite.
Yum.
It's got a little bit of mocha in it and lots of ice. And I love Summer Moon.
Yes, Summer Moon has moon milk. So it's like
Yes.
their own recipe that they won't share.
Yes.
It's some special concoction of, I'm pretty sure it's like milk and cream and sugar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good. And they have oak roasted coffee, which I feel like tastes so different than Starbucks.
Wait, what does
That's
that mean?
like their whole thing. Like the way they roast their beans is like with oak.
Oh,
And so it has like a little bit of like a woody.
like a darker.
Yes. And it's
taste.
way less bitter to me than like Starbucks shaken espresso. It's like a lot smoother.
I like that. I get so confused with how to order at Summer Moon, though.
Do it on the app. It's way easier.
Really?
Yeah.
I just feel like you said like a shaken espresso. I feel like when I go, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I guess like a half moon
Yeah.
coffee. I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I usually when I go, I just ask for a coffee with like a splash of moon milk.
Mm. I don't know. I get too confused.
I feel that a little bit. But
Thank you.
I love Summer Moon.
It is kind
Yeah.
of confusing. Their menu there's a lot going on.
There's so much going on. That's how I always get confused because I'm like, am I supposed to put it together? Am I
Mhm.
supposed to choose just one? What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
what's filling your cup?
I just have water now. Today's a double episode day, so I had my coffee in our first episode we recorded, but now I have some water. What about you?
It is a double episode day, and I had a coffee in the first episode, and I got a coffee now. 2 different coffees. I'm feeling good.
But we checked the milligrams and it's fine
Yeah.
of caffeine.
It was only 45 milligrams of caffeine, and I can have 200 a day. So mind your business.
Mind your own business. So let's just dive right in.
Okay.
So We Ride Upon Sticks, which I have to say from the beginning that I always think about it. I always want to say We Ride Upon Dicks.
Oh my gosh.
because-
See, that would have been a better book, I think.
Oh my gosh. Well, when I first started reading it, Jared always asks about like our book club books, or he just asks about what books I'm reading in general.
Yeah.
I don't think he can really keep up because it's always like something different.
It's nice to be asked.
Yeah. But he'll ask, what are you reading now? And one day I joked, I like sat down and I opened the book and I was like, I'm starting the book club book. We write upon dicks. And he was like, wait, really? And he was like, oh, he was like, oh, that's what it's called. And I was like, no, it's not. It's We Write Upon Sticks. But he like kind of believed it because sometimes we read like,
Smut.
yeah, smut.
Okay, but we have only done like an actual, I don't feel like we've ever done an actual smut book.
So the Tessa Bailey one that we did for Christmas, Wreck the Halls,
yeah.
that one was smut. You didn't like it.
But it wasn't that smutty. It was pretty tame comparatively.
It was.
Mhm.
And then the only other one was the Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
That one had some good smut scenes,
Yeah.
but
That's the one that gets memed on all the time because they're having sex in front of grandpa.
oh
And you're like, it had some good sex scenes.
Yeah.
I don't think I finished that one.
Oh my god.
I don't know if
I think that was my first book club that I missed.
Oh.
it was your first book club you missed. I think that you did read the book though.
Maybe I did. Yeah, because I do remember the grandpa sex scene
Mhm.
part. That was like at one of the last chapters, wasn't it?
It was
It was
towards
like
the end.
really,
yeah.
really far in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get confused with that one and the Pumpkin Spice Cafe because they also
Yeah.
had like some
Yeah.
weird sex scenes in that
Yeah.
one. And so sometimes I mix them up a little bit.
Yeah. So all three of those have like sexual scenes or like smutty-ish scenes in them, but
They're
they're
steamy, but not smutty.
yeah, the three of none of those are like full on smut.
Okay, but then we go to something like Credence. Like, I don't think that's smut. That's like straight up porn.
Yeah.
So, like, where does the smut line get drawn?
I don't think Credence should exist. So pass the line.
Oh my gosh.
far past
Oh my
the
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, We Write Upon Dicks was not smut.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Not at all.
And it's We Write Upon Sticks, not dicks. So
Yeah.
but because we have read some like explicit stuff
Mm.
in book club, and because I do read explicit stuff regularly, Jared thought that there was a chance that it was called We Write Upon Dicks. So now like every time we say we write upon sticks, like I want to say dicks, but which is actually funny because there was really not that much male female sex
No.
happening in this book.
Yeah.
Like at the most there was more like female stuff going on
Yeah.
sexually.
It was very much like a girl group book from what I'm
yes.
hearing, because I got 5% of the way in. But it felt like it was supposed to be very female empowerment and like coming of age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like young teenage girls.
Yeah.
So the pitch of it is that it's a group of women or girls who are in high school
Uh-huh.
who are on a field hockey team, which already like is foreign to us Americans. Like,
yeah.
this
Maybe that
takes
was a hard
place
concept.
in America, right? But like, I don't know anyone. I've never heard
'cause
of
it was like in Salem.
Yeah,
Was it in Salem?
Yes.
it was outside of it.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
a neighboring city.
Okay, but somewhere
Yeah.
in Massachusetts.
But like their claim to fame is that Salem's next door or something.
Yes, but it's a group of field hockey players who like band together they perform like this ritual that they think is going to help them win the field hockey championship.
Yeah.
So there's like a little bit of like witchcraft in there. Mainly the whole thing is like them banding together, like believing in each other,
Mhm.
growing up, winning games, you know, whatever. And there's like obviously all this like character development during that
Yeah.
time. And, you know,
Yeah. It
turns
goes
out,
through their lives.
turns out they don't actually win the championship. But then
I know. What the heck?
and then at the end, you get to see all the characters like 30 years later or whatever, however many years.
Yeah,
later.
We love a good epilogue.
Yeah, it was nice to see them all. Because when you're in the heads of these teenagers, so long, you're like, oh, they're kind of crazy.
Oh,
They're kind of
dude.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
I really love the epilogue. I think I said this in book club, but like the final maybe quarter of the book or even like fifth of the book was my favorite part
Mhm.
because, and I did like the epilogue because we see them and we're like, okay, and it sums it up. And I love a good resolution,
Mhm.
but I felt like for the duration of most of the book, my general thought was like, what the fuck? What is
Yes.
going on?
Yeah. I think that was most people's terms.
this book is so hard to talk about because like 80% of the book is just each chapter is like dedicated to the team that they're playing against.
Yeah.
But only like 10% of that chapter is actually about the game. The rest of it's like okay, what are we doing to prepare for this game? Okay, we got to make some sort of, we have to act bad and make some sort of sacrifice to who they believe is like helping them win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the...
What was it?
Esteban.
Emilio.
Emilio, yes.
Was it Emilio Esteban?
I don't know what it
What
was.
was that?
I have no idea. Oh, wait. Because they named it after a famous person.
Yeah, I think it was Emilio Esteban.
Is that
You bitches?
Is that a real person?
I don't know. You said he was real. I thought he was made up for the book.
I
But,
think he's real.
No,
He's like a real celebrity.
They made where Estevez.
okay.
But that's Esteban.
It's Estevez. Yeah. It says teenage girls hockey players turn to ridiculous witchcraft and keep all their spells in an Emilio Estevez notebook.
Yeah.
Dude, whenever you say that line, this book had such potential to be so funny and like cute and exciting. And I feel like it was just the opposite of that.
In my opinion, I felt like the author, has a very specific sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I feel like the author feels like they are very funny. And people that have that same sense of humor, I could see liking the book. But
Yeah.
I just felt like the sense of humor was too much. Like it was like the jokes were too
Like niche.
meta almost. Like you had to, like throughout the book, you had to like have gotten this joke in order to get this joke. And to me, I was like, this is too much.
Didn't you like Everyone on This Train is a Suspect? Because
Yeah.
that's why I didn't like that one.
Yeah, I
It's
remember
because it was so meta. It was like breaking the fourth wall all the time.
Yeah.
This book, I feel like, wasn't meta, but a lot of the references and the jokes and stuff were so tied to 80s culture
Yeah.
that I knew nothing about. That I'm just like, this reference is completely lost
Mhm.
on me.
Okay, haven't we, or you guys talked about this at book club, that this is like a really well-liked author, right?
Yes.
Or like
So Shelby picked this.
yes.
And me and Shelby both like this Canadian booktuber.
Uh-huh.
Her name's Books and and this is one of her favorite books, like of all time.
Wow.
And part of
I
it,
can't imagine calling anybody
okay,
calling this their favorite book.
this is why, I feel like this is what me and Shelby have in common with this booktuber is what I will 100% always say and believe it is that it is a bigger crime to be boring than it is to be like bold and daring
Oh,
and
for
like
sure.
quirky.
Yeah.
So to me, I like this book because I read over 100 books a year usually.
Yeah.
And this stood out so much. Like it was definitely weird.
Wait, you liked this book?
I gave it 3 stars.
Oh, okay.
She
wasn't,
said it was
my
like
favorite.
solid.
Yeah.
Solid pick.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things I did like about it, but there's a lot of things that I thought was fun. I liked the characters. I liked how quirky they were. I think
They were
like,
very quirky.
I think the sex stuff kind of was like where it lost me a little bit in the 80s references and stuff. But like I like a good coming of age. I
Yeah.
like a good like female empowerment. This book was told in first person plural, so like
Weird.
I never ever read a book.
What does that mean?
So that means every time it was like we did this, we did that, but you never know who we is. Like you think
Oh.
it's the narrator and somebody, but in this case, it's we as the collective team. Like it's kind of like enforcing that thought that they are all like bound
Like
together.
they are one.
Yes.
Oh, first person.
Which
plural.
is kind of like they were supposed to be in the book because they were supposed to be connected through Emilio or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, okay, tell me your thoughts on that. Do you feel like we were actually supposed to believe that they were like hearing each other's thoughts?
I was
No.
just gonna ask that.
I think you're supposed to believe that like the power of delusion was strong enough that they believed it. Because like
That's how I felt about the witchcraft and like
Yes.
it being bad and stuff. But when it came to the mind stuff, I was confused because in the physical book, you said you did both physical and audio,
Yeah.
right? So in the physical book, whenever they were talking through their minds, it was in
Italics.
italics, which like in a normal book, those thoughts are private,
Yeah.
but they were literally responding to each other.
yeah, I think it's more of like kind of like when you can look at somebody and you
and
can
know what they're thinking.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like more exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, again, just like reinforcing the belief that they really did believe that this witchcraft was what was causing the
I know.
awakening.
So that's where I got the feeling that it seemed more like a middle school age than
Yeah.
high school age.
yeah.
Because I'm like, 7th and 8th graders totally would have been like, oh yeah, like the witchcraft stuff is helping us win this. Because are we not supposed to believe that the witchcraft was like actual
No.
witchcraft?
I don't
Okay.
think so. No.
It was just power delusion.
yes, I
power
think so.
sisterhood and
But
power
also,
delusion.
yeah, when you're like, I don't know. Do you ever like hear people talk about like the friendships that you form at that age are like the most intense. Like
Yeah,
the relationships you have are the most intense. Like it's just like it's supposed to be like that. Like when you're a teenager, everything is just so extreme and you bond together so quickly and so dramatically and like.
For sure. That's so true.
I'm sure. Actually, I'm sure in high school I definitely would have thought me and Sophie could read each other's minds.
Yeah,
and like I still kind of do think that sometimes. So, yeah.
I could see it. I do get what you're saying though, because like the bracelets thing, I remember having like friendship bracelets or it wasn't even a bracelet. It was a piece of a sock that they were tearing off.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you. I'm like, that's the same thing they did.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like I could see that more in like middle school than in high school.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the team did feel I could relate to the friendships or like the things that they talked about and the intensity, like you said. Can't really relate to the like dancing naked in the woods thing.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't have done that as a high schooler. Totally would have done that
in
at
college.
Like 20.
We did
19.
go skinny dipping.
Yeah, we did, baby. I pretty much will be naked anytime I can.
At your bridal shower.
at a bridal shower. We were drinking and it was at her aunt's and their yard leads into like kind of a lake, like a shared lake among, and it was really, really late and dark and we were all like, let's get in the water. And we did. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so back to the book. So the dancing naked in the woods thing, that was where I was like, what? That turned so fast. And wasn't it part of their like ritual?
I think so, yeah. There was more than just dancing. They were like kissing and
oh yeah,
like a full-on orgy.
Yeah.
Which I
think again is kind of like the coming of age thing.
Yeah.
Sexuality. It's definitely
exploring the sexuality.
Well, they were also like
maybe in the 80s they were more bold.
That's what I was thinking.
I was just more reserved as a kid because I would never.
Well, there was that line where they're talking about practicing safe sex by douching with Dr. Pepper. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I hope that was not something somebody actually has done before.
I feel like probably people have done it before. It's like you hear old wives' tales of whatever. Like, I feel like, no, that wasn't practicing safe, or it was contraception, her form of contraception, right? Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. But I do feel like people hear things and then they just assume it to be true.
Well, and there was such probably like little, I mean, there still is, but even then it was probably even more taboo to talk about sex.
For sure. You weren't talking about sex in the 80s.
No.
I'm sure
it was the rock bands.
Yeah.
And we're talking about sex. Nobody else was.
I'm sure sex education was lacking.
Yeah. That makes me feel so bad for them that's what they resorted to. I don't know. That's
I know.
crazy.
I wonder. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be someone in the billions of people in the universe that have actually done that. But I'm like, was that a thing or was that the author being funny with
Yeah. It was kind of funny.
I feel like it was both. Like I feel like she was trying to be funny and maybe she did just conjure up what is the weirdest thing that I could say right now, but also kind of like making a play on that. I could actually see somebody doing that because they heard that it prevents pregnancy.
Yeah.
And they think it works.
Yeah. That's insane.
Wait, okay, now I want to know, did people actually think that in the like 80s?
Google, did people
douching with Dr. Pepper?
Oh my God, yeah. What if it's like a huge thing that people actually were doing?
I don't know. I mean, it probably wasn't. It just is probably something that like, again, I feel like she's kind of making a play on that. We will believe anything, but the AI overview is like, it's important to understand that douching with Dr. Pepper or any other solution is not an effective method of birth control.
Dude, that's crazy. It does say, well, rumors. Yeah, read it.
Oh my God. Rumors about using Dr. Pepper or other concoctions as douches for contraception may have circulated, particularly in the 80s.
That's so wild.
But it's unsupported.
I want to go ask people that we knew in the 80s.
That is crazy.
Parents' generation.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, it does say that douching in general, like not necessarily with Dr. Pepper, but douching in general was really, really popular in the 1900s. Well, does that include the 80s?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever douched?
No.
Me either. I didn't really know.
Because I've always heard it's not good for you.
Putting liquid in your vagina to flush it out.
That's so weird. What are we flushing out?
All of your good stuff that's in there. Like it's a self-regulating system.
Yeah,
that's why people don't do it anymore.
Okay.
It was like part of the whole like shaming women for
like having discharge and stuff.
Yeah, and like making them feel like they're dirty. Yeah, it's definitely a lot to do with that.
That's so sad.
I
wonder
know.
how many people like older than us are still douching Like,
Ew. Hopefully nobody.
they might be though. That's what they grew up hearing.
Yeah.
I guess, and they've been douching since they were like 10.
Yeah, but it's well known now, I feel like. Well, maybe not in every country, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
mean, even for this one, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking about the people that like still shave their legs every single day.
What? I do that.
You shave your legs every day.
I was like, that doesn't seem as bad as douching.
Okay, not as bad, but
I hate having stubby legs. That's like top 10 ick.
every day.
Yeah, that's like top 10 ick for me.
I
Like,
shave mine like probably once a week.
I shave mine like every 3 weeks.
I was gonna say because people shave legs all the time.
Yes, yeah. But do you see what I mean about like douching, like a concept
Yeah,
like
look at
that? No, but I'm just saying like a concept like that, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't know the difference if someone tells you this is just fact.
Yeah.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
Like
you don't question
wouldn't-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. And it I
or
mean
your friend tells you, like, yeah, when you're that age in high school, your friend tells you, like, oh yeah, you need to be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my
I remember one time, this is again personal, but I don't care about it. But I remember one time a friend telling me that her sister shaves her ass or something. And and I was like, whoa, that's weird. And she was like, no, it's not. You'll probably start doing it one day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I thought about that all the time. Like, when am I
Yeah.
supposed to start shaving my ass?
I totally shaved my butt crack before.
Me too. But I'm just saying, like, I never would have thought about it if that person hadn't said that.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you hear these things, and especially at that age, they're formative. So like
Yeah.
they live in your brain and you think
Mhm.
about them forever. And you're like, oh, should I be doing that? Should I not be doing that?
Yeah.
And whatever. So I don't know. It was a especially weird one because of the Dr. Pepper, especially.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I felt like some of those comments, I was like, yeah, it was weird, but it actually didn't, like, we talked about that in book club for quite a while. And I was like, it actually didn't really faze me that much because I feel like kids just think the weirdest stuff.
Well, I also think that was so real because, like,
Mhm.
when you're that age, you're like everything is new. Everyone's sharing their experiences. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, have you done this yet?" Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Google was not around back then.
no, so
Oh
you're
my
learning.
gosh.
only.
You're learning everything just by word of mouth, and
Yeah.
that's like you take it as truth because you don't know. So I
Yes.
thought that was so real. I actually really like that,
Mhm.
especially. I
Yeah.
think that added to the whole coming of age thing.
For sure. Shows their age, shows like the sisterhood of it.
Yes,
Yeah. They were all doing that.
it was
Yeah.
such a sisterhood book. I know a lot of people were like, they wanted it to be more of a wholesome sisterhood in book
Mhm.
club, but I still liked it. I liked
Mhm.
how kind of like dark and funny it
I
was.
love a good coming of age book. And I think that had this book been a little easier to follow, I feel like I would have really liked it. But I just do feel like the whole time I was like, what is going on? Or like the sentences would be like entire paragraphs.
Yeah.
But one sentence, and I'd be like, where are we?
It was almost stream of consciousness, and it was because it was the collective stream of consciousness, like what you were saying about it being first person plural. And that was the reason that it was so hard for me, because we said this in book club. A lot of people echoed this thought in book club that the concept is strong. The
Mhm.
concept is
Yeah.
funny. Like, there's a lot there. You could do a lot with
The
it.
synopsis of the book, great.
Yeah. But then when I was actually reading it, I found myself having to reread over and over because I was like, what did that just say?
What is the clause?
And then I would, yes,
yeah.
that's the thing. Like, if you missed that, which I read it physically, but whether you read it physically or audio, like if you accidentally like miss something, and then they start referencing the claw, which is basically another character, but some girl's hairstyle,
Yeah.
you're like, what is going on? Is this real? And I think because they're, like, we've already talked about, was that supposed to be real or was that supposed to be fake or whatever? Like, were they actually doing that? Were they not? I feel like because that was so confusing, that is what made it hard for me and made it like a slower book for me. I only gave it 2 stars because I was like, I did like the end, and I did think that the concept was interesting and it was different,
Mhm.
but I was like, it was too hard for me to read. It was too rough of a read.
I think the biggest attracting thing from the way this book is written is that it is told in this very meandering way where it's like, okay, they're going to play this team today, but first we're going to check in at them at their lockers, and there's going to be this niche 80s reference, and then
yeah.
they're going to have this dialogue or whatever, and then we're going to get to the, like, it was a very like winding road
Yes.
incident, and most stories are told very straightforwardly.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah.
to the point. pretty
Yes,
quickly.
and the 80s references were a little much, I think. Like
Mhm.
it's, I think maybe if this was told with references that we knew about,
like 90s references.
Well, instead of the claw, maybe it was the 2010s bump. You know what I mean?
Like Snooki bump,
right? Yeah. So like, I think just being in on it would have like made it more enjoyable for a lot of people because it was not very highly rated.
Yeah, like if the Notebook was Justin Timberlake instead of Emilio
Estevez.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I do wonder. Yeah, I actually feel like that's really true.
Yeah,
like I feel like the pop culture and the media of it would have been more fun to read if we had understood it.
Yeah, I feel like the drawback of the writing style plus what you said about not being in on the references made it really, really tough. I don't know if if making the references today would have helped enough for me with like the writing structure and style and like you said, how winding it was. And I discovered I don't like first person plural in this book, but I don't know if it would have been enough, but it definitely would have helped it because I do think that those were two things that I was like, that was part of why I was like, what is going on? Like, I can't tell if this is a reference or if she's actually saying like, it was confusing.
Yeah. So that's what is speculative about this book. Like you don't know. Really, I don't think the witchcraft was something you're supposed to believe in, but technically it could have been real, right?
I feel like that's still, we did not talk about that at book club.
Yeah.
I didn't even have that question at book club. Like, are we supposed to believe it?
Yeah. It's definitely weird. That's what it's an out there book and it's a little bit speculative and like stuff like that is just like so fun to read because it's just so out of the realm of anything else you will probably never read a book like this ever again.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Is this book, does any of it have elements of like magical realism?
No, not really.
The magic is like very secondary, you know, like it's not talked about a whole lot. It's not like a core plot point. You just see them like committing their names to this book and they're believing in it and they're committing bad deeds to, you know.
So their bad deeds are supposed to be like sacrifices?
Yes.
Yeah. And the worse they are, the more likely they are to win a game or whatever. The thing is though, I don't actually feel, it doesn't feel magical in the book. I felt like the book was way more about like coming of age and then like these things that they're going through as teenagers. And it didn't feel magical to me or like mystical even. It felt to me like what you were saying earlier, like it was just about their belief and that they were just like, oh yeah, you know, I don't know. It was less about the actual magic because even at the end, one of the characters, I can't remember which one, who loses the game for them? Is it
It's Abby.
Abby. Yeah, that's right.
The smoothie girl.
Yes. Abby's Organics or something like that. But yeah, so she like loses the game on purpose and then she makes a point of saying like basically her kind of the final thought as them as teenagers is like, I wanted to miss it because I wanted to show you guys like it wasn't the witchcraft that made us win all season. Like we actually were like practicing really hard and we were like implementing strategies.
Well, she was team captain and she never signed the book.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So she was never a believer in the first place. Like she participated like reluctantly, like, okay, yeah, I'll put the armband on or whatever. Yeah, but I don't think she ever signed the book.
Yeah.
And so her whole thing all along was like she didn't really believe in it and then she threw the game to prove to them that it wasn't real.
This would make a great movie.
Yeah, I
it would
think
make
so.
a great, especially like a great like kids movie because it almost reminded me of Inside Out 2 where
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. So Riley, the main character in Inside Out 2, she plays hockey, but it's like her trying to fit in with the team and like her trying to choose if she's more part of the team or like her other friends who may be team. So like it's not the same, but it did remind me of it a little bit of just like that they're in high school and things like that.
Yeah.
She might have been in middle school or something, but yeah. All that.
Yeah, just the dynamics of finding yourself when you're that age and when you are tempted to do like this thing with this group or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I did not feel like we were actually supposed to believe the witchcraft was doing anything. So just more so that like their belief. And I feel like even them like bonding more and gaining chemistry together and stuff like that was helping them improve. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like straight up at the end, they're basically saying like, no, that wasn't. The witchcraft wasn't legit. Yeah. But
it's so funny whenever we talk about books that I haven't finished because I'm like, it sounds so good. When we're talking about it sounds so like it sounds like a 4 or 5 star book.
Yeah, I don't think
like
you would love it that much.
I can tell you I didn't. I got 5% in it.
Yeah.
But when we talked about Abby, it did remind me that this was a big discussion about like she had a perceived like eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this was the thing I was picking up as you guys were talking, that it seemed like a lot of the characters were like a minority of some sort.
Yeah.
Or like had a minority of some sort. You guys talk about that.
Yeah, pretty much just every girl there was. I think that, again, it was kind of highlighting that at that age, everybody's going through something.
Mm-hmm.
And like Abby, they didn't straight up say she had an eating disorder, but it was really clear she was always eating like a fruit or like raw vegetable or something weird like that. And so clearly like she's going through some whatever nutritional thing.
There's a word for it. It's like, I can't remember. We'd have to look it up. It's like anorexia, but it's hyper health vigilance. Like you only eat healthy food and you will not let yourself eat anything.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's
But that was like something she was going through. And then there were other characters that were going through like being a different ethnicity or
There's a couple Asian characters who were not treated great, which was a little, I mean, it's definitely par for the course for the 80s, right?
Yeah, it was probably accurate for what was happening.
There was a black character that was also probably went through some microaggressions and comments. I think they talked about her hair too. And
yeah, they did.
Really?
But I think the most like diverse character, I don't know if that's a thing, but what I thought this made a good Pride Month read for it was because boy Corey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a girl Corey and a boy Corey, and boy Corey is on the women's field hockey team, which already in the 80s is like pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then later in adulthood, I don't know. How was that?
I don't know. They didn't really ever explain that. He was just a part of the team.
He just wanted
from the
to
get-go.
Yeah,
I guess so, but wasn't he also like he stayed with the boys? Or like
yeah, I think
like
he had
separated.
He had the boys' locker room.
Oh, okay. Maybe just a boys' locker room. Maybe I was thinking like the boys' camp or something.
Oh, I got it. No, I think he was out there camp. But anyway, he was a boy through the whole field hockey team, and then later in adulthood, transitioned to a woman, which I thought was like pretty cool for a story for like that is very unexpected. I think.
For sure.
Don't hear a lot of stories like that.
It was surprising. I feel like I wonder, because the author that wrote this did grow up in
Danvers, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Danvers.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And in the 80s, and like it made me wonder. I feel like she was writing from experience, and maybe not all of those characters existed.
Yeah.
But I think that she probably,
A collection of.
I would guess that maybe today she's like talked with her friends from that time and been like, oh my God, remember how we felt about this thing? And that was crazy. And like, and now it makes so much sense, like boy Corey or, that sort of thing. I'm sure the person in her life isn't actually boy Corey, but it makes me wonder, like, if there's someone in her life that transitioned and she's like, oh, that made so much sense. Like, once you reflect on it, it makes sense, but we were all just so worried about our own problems.
Yeah, I know this book was own voices in the sense that she was black, the author, and AJ in the book is black and also playing field hockey. I think that was the self-insertion.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I'm sure some of those people reflected real life people too.
Yeah. So. I did like that you guys were talking about how, like, I did not know she went to Danvers High School and, like, the mascot was her mascot and, like, all that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. In the book, the physical one, at the end, there's, like, a picture of the author at like that age.
That's so fun.
I think like cheering or something.
Yeah, I think she was like in marching band or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think she had, I don't know.
Like the plume.
Something,
yeah. No, I think that's really fun. I always love I love a good author's note, especially when it has to do with the book.
Yeah. And I think I liked, once I discovered that, I liked that because I was like, oh, I think that a lot of this probably is realistically like what she experienced, and so she wants to highlight that time and kind of capture it in history in a I mean, it is fiction, but in a way that I don't know, in a creative way. And so I did like knowing that. I still like struggled with the execution so much.
Yeah, I agree. I will say I did like this book. I think I was the only person to give it above 2 stars. But I think it's really unique. I am such a sucker for like unique writing styles.
Yeah.
Like I read a book that was all, do you know what Slack is?
Yeah.
It was told all in Slack messages, like IMs and stuff. It was really interesting. And I think like I've read lots of books that are mixed media. So there'll be like podcast transcripts, text messages, emails, whatever. I think that is just such an interesting way.
I do like when they add those in.
Right.
I like those too.
So the fact that this was told in a unique, I've never read a book in first person plural, probably never will again. It's so rare. There's like probably 1% of books are ever written in that.
Yeah.
So I think like that already was like, that was so cool. I don't know. To me, I'm like, when we read Last Christmas in Paris, which was told in letter format.
I liked that
epistolary.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so fascinating. Like that was like one of my favorite things about reading is like just unique experiences.
Yeah.
I liked it too. Yeah, I liked that Last Christmas in Paris. I really liked. I don't think that. I don't know. I don't think it's just because it was first person plural. Cause I like didn't love that writing style, but I think it was just also like some of the way that her syntax like was just kind of confusing.
Yeah, it definitely was meandering. There was way too many 80s references that I did not understand. But I was willing to overlook that because I really liked the characters and how strong their bond was. And you got a little bit of time with each character for the most part. We didn't get Abby's POV. But you really got to like know them and see them like bond. And I don't know, it kind of reminded me like, I'm not that nostalgic for high school sports, but it did remind me of playing soccer. Like me and Bailey used to play soccer together and like riding the bus. And I don't know, like give me a little bit of like nostalgia for that.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of weird aspects to it, like the group touching, kissing under the vibrator.
I honestly didn't even mind that. Like the content was not bad. It was just like so hard to.
I think I could have done without the sexual content in that way because it was just so like distracting. I feel like.
Yeah, that's what Lindsay said. It was really crude. Is that the word crass?
Yeah, I think that's what.
And that it was just really like the sexual content could have been there, but they talked about it so outrageously.
I liked like the part where Julie's like, he thumbed my nipples or whatever. Yeah. I liked how like real and like raw that was. It's just the parts where they're like under the moonlight and they're like trying to everyone's taking their clothes off and like, okay, this is weird.
I think
like,
it's probably because it's less relatable. Like the thumbed my nipple thing, like I could see someone that I know saying
that happened.
It's funny. It's age. Like, oh my god, like that probably did happen.
Whereas like maybe people did this, but like I did not know very many people that were stripping down naked on a field and like kissing and touching and like all sorts of things, like with multiple people.
Yeah. In high school.
Yeah. Like I don't
or in general, but specifically in high school.
Yeah. And like we said this earlier, like, oh yeah, I would maybe like get naked or something, like maybe in college, like I could see myself getting drunk and getting naked and running around or like something like that. So it's not as much about that, but specifically like basically like the orgy vibe. Yes. Like, that's not relatable.
Especially with teenagers, it gets a little uncomfortable. But
it does get weird reading about sex lives of teenagers.
Yeah, a little bit.
When you're like, ooh.
I'm an adult now.
Yeah. You know that trend that's like, ooh, is this illegal?
No.
Ooh, it feels illegal. I know. We don't know.
We're too old.
But you guys are too old. Are you on TikTok at all?
A little bit, but not a lot.
Okay. It's definitely a TikTok trend for sure. But it reminds me of that.
That's funny.
I feel like this book reminded me so much of summer. I don't know. Is that weird? It just gave me so much.
It gave me summer vibes.
Yeah. Like it gave me like summer night, like Friday Night Lights vibes. I don't know. Like out of game.
I think because it was like, isn't it a spring season sport or something? Like it felt like it was leading up to finishing school and like going into summer.
I think they had like summer training camp. Was that one part of it.
Right.
Because it was hot and they were like, and I'm like, that was so relatable because we had soccer training camp.
Yeah. I think also when I think about being like in school or like a teenager or something or a kid, like the summers stand out.
Yeah. I don't know. It made me a little bit nostalgic for like high school summers. Yeah. Which I like would never ever go back to high school.
No.
But like, I don't know, this gave me a little bit of nostalgia for it, which is crazy because I'm always like, high school was like not a great time. Like I wouldn't ever go back, but there were some nice parts of it. I guess I could be nostalgic for.
With the rose-colored glasses now.
Okay. So it did give me a little bit of that like nostalgic high a little bit. It reminded me of summer. Yeah. I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah. There was some. It did remind me of like being that age, which I think is the point.
Yeah.
Another element that was like relatable, not nostalgic at all. But when we were talking about, because the 30 years later, they're all getting together for the wedding. Mm-hmm. And it's throughout the story, there's like a rumor that one of the girls is sleeping with the teacher.
Oh yeah.
And he's like a few years older than her, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but it's like really taboo, which it is taboo still. Like,
Yeah.
Very bad.
yeah. And we actually like know people in our community that like there's stuff being talked about with this and stuff. And so it was interesting.
That sounds crazy. It makes it sound like people that like are in our immediate lives, like we actually know
No,
people
our
that suffer
community, our
from
city,
yes.
our community, our schools,
Yes.
like that's our
It
community.
is happening right now.
I don't think
Yes.
when you say community, I didn't say friend group.
No, you didn't, which was good. I wanted to clear it up.
Okay, yeah.
We don't know.
Just people that we've heard about in our school system that we grew up in,
Yes.
that there's like some taboo stuff happening with like teacher student relationships or
Yeah.
whatever. And it was interesting reading about it in the book because I do feel like she implemented her voice a little bit there too, because and it was confusing because when you do first person plural, you're saying we and stuff. So she's had a little like note about it at some point where she was like, look, we're not saying that
Mm-hmm.
teacher, like that they're not abusing power, like if they're whatever. Like she was saying like, basically there's nuance to every situation.
Yeah, I think her comment was, I'm not saying this is okay by any means, but this is definitely something that was happening.
Yeah.
Like,
And she did say that. She said like, but we saw this happen. Yeah, like we saw
Was
this
an
happen.
author's note?
no, it was like a side in the book. Like, it was written in
it was in the book,
Like
but
breaking the fourth wall.
A little bit, yeah.
It was one of those moments that kind of felt like, oh, she's talking, not like one of the characters is talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
I didn't know none of that.
Yeah. Which the breaking the fourth wall thing, I know earlier you said that everyone is a suspect of that too. And I did really like that book. I feel like that works better though in like a mystery, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Action.
Action.
Like Lemony Snicket.
I think
Yes!
what I hated it was so meta. Like, you're gonna learn who the culprit is in 256 pages. It was
yeah.
like, oh my god, that was so specific.
Yeah.
And
See,
like,
but that-
Culbert's name 87 times.
yes, that was crazy.
but that felt to me like
like a fun mystery.
it felt like watching Clue or something like
Yeah.
that. Like I
Mhm.
was like, this works for this genre to me.
Yeah. I thought that was fun.
that was my pick. I'm like
Yeah, I
already like,
remember.
I
Oh,
don't really
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Maybe that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was one of our first book club episodes, I think, actually.
Oh my god.
Everyone on this train is a suspect.
I think it
Well, a year
was.
ago, because we just moved into our house and we
Yeah.
hosted it.
So?
Wow.
So
that's
checks
awesome.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Are there other things that you feel like we didn't talk about with We Ride Upon Sticks?
We didn't talk about the car smashing scene. With the,
Oh,
crazy.
that was just wild. Yeah.
What's that?
It was so
It was when Julie got
gets
her nipples-
nipples thumbed, and they're like, "What? No!" And they
because she
start
said
smash-
it in like a distraught way, like, he found my nipples, and they're like, we're gonna fucking kill him.
And they're like, "No!" So they start smashing his car, and then she's like, "Wait,
but
I liked it."
Oh no.
And then they're like, "Oh!" And then they just go on smashing more cars.
Yeah.
It's like Halloween or something,
Mhm.
Oh my
and they're
God.
in Salem.
They
for
got
Halloween.
away with a lot of shit. Like, they destroyed property with the cars. They set their lockers on fire inside the school and never
Multiple
got in
times.
trouble.
Multiple times.
That was definitely the part that I'm like, oh, okay, this is like way beyond the realm of realistic. at this point.
What?
There's no way you could set multiple fires in the
No.
school and nothing would happen.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I agree. It
That's
was
so
crazy.
random.
Yeah.
One of them was like really bad at like the fire spread to other people's lockers. and, like-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I don't know. It was.
Oh, it was AJ burning Huck Finn in her locker. That's why it got
Oh,
so big and out of
yeah.
control.
She burned all of them.
Yeah,
like
all the
all of
copies
the
of Huck
copies
Finn.
of Huck Finn.
Why?
Because it
Well,
says the N word, right? Because it's Mark Twain.
Yeah.
And she's black and she's annoyed that they have to read it, which I think is kind of fair.
I actually really liked her perspective when she was talking about that. Not just the book, but then she was talking about how your teacher almost like looks to you to ask, like, well, what do you think? Like, what's your
That
perspective?
happened
on
Yes.
in Georgia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It does. And it's like, okay, just because I'm like the single surveyable person in the
Yes.
room doesn't
That
mean
happens way more with black people, but like any minority
Yeah.
forgets
Sure.
that. Like you
Yeah.
become the spokesperson for your entire race, culture,
Yes.
and it's just
Yeah.
it's not fair. Like you're not a single unit, single mind. You don't have the same opinions. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It is-
yeah. You can't just ask. I don't know. And it puts like a burden on that person too,
to
because
teach, yes, that's
Yeah.
also another thing. You have to be the person to educate them on why this is
Mhm.
racist or why this is a microaggression or why you can't touch my
Yeah.
hair or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I really, really liked her perspective in the book for that reason.
mhm.
But yeah, she was like burning like 50 copies of Huckleberry Finn or
God.
She
something.
stole them. Like, it was in a locked cabinet or something. And she, like, broke
I
it and stole
love
it and burned it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
They got away with a lot of stuff.
They
Sure
did.
did.
It definitely felt like, I feel like there are shows like Jenny and Georgia or something like that. Like they do crazy stuff in that show. And it's like, just, I don't know, you just do crazy stuff because you're doing so much experimenting, not like just physically, I mean, but like experimenting with ideas and experimenting with like
Beliefs.
Yeah, I think that's also why you say it would make a good movie. I kind of think that movies can get away with being more unrealistic and weird than books can. I feel like people take books so seriously and want to analyze every bit of it and be like, this isn't realistic.
I think it also has to do with imagination.
Yeah.
Sometimes seeing it is easier than having to
that's true.
think of it yourself.
But yeah, I think sometimes in book club it'll be like, I didn't like this wasn't realistic, or this was too far, or whatever. And like, I think books get judged way more harshly, way more seriously than movies. I think they come across way more, like, movies can be a lot weirder than books can.
Books being realistic does not, like, or being unrealistic is not something that really bothers me at all. Like, I think that part of why our book club has a hard time with that is because we've got a lot of experts in different things.
Yeah.
And like, especially clinically. And so we've got a lot of people that are like, that just would not be, and a lot of books have medical elements to them.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, it does not bother me at all, you know, but I'm like not an expert in anything that a book is written about. I feel like so.
It entirely depends on what the genre is.
But
I totally like sympathize with, if this is your profession and you know a lot about it and they get it completely wrong, it feels like there should be like a very minimum level
like
of
a fact check.
Yes, like somebody should be looking at this and be like, oh, this is really wrong.
This would never happen.
Yeah, I do sympathize.
Yeah, I don't know. Realism is not like a book being realistic is not something that it turns me off necessarily, but I don't know. I feel like I feel like if it does get something wrong, I don't know.
What about a book being weird? You know, like, I would say this book is weird. Does that turn you off?
I was fine with it being weird. It was the way it was told that really hung me.
I respect Shelby so much for this pick. I know she didn't like it, but I think it's such a bold pick, and I think that is so. I think we need more of that kind of stuff. Like, just really out there. Whatever.
We usually try to go like, oh, we think people will like this book. Like, it's got really high ratings.
Well, because you want people to read the book, first of all.
You want people to like it.
Yeah, you want people to like it. You want there to be good discussion points, which I think, even though this was the lowest rated book we've ever had.
I think our lower rated books have way more discussion.
Yes, there was so much to talk about with this. Which I think is just as good as picking a book that everybody liked, but there was a lot less to talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like I say this all the time, that this is why I love book club so much, is because everyone is so different. Everyone's views are so different. Everyone's like interests are so different. And so we do read books that we probably never would have read. And also people just react so differently to them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just fun.
I think it's cool too. It really depends on like where you're at as a reader and at the time, how much you enjoy the book. So like for me, this came at a really good time because I was like in a reading boost. Like I wanted to read everything. And so I read this and it was super weird. And a lot of people were like, it took me 2 weeks to get through. I read it in like 2 days just because I was like in I just wanted to read. Yeah. And I was like, this is so weird and interesting. I'm like, I can really get through this because it's so new and novel. But I don't know. It just depends. And that's another thing I like about book club. Like when the right book comes to you at the right time, you're like, wow, this is really good.
Yes. Yeah. You said that one time. I think it was the Pumpkin Spice Cafe book, but you're like, yeah, it was definitely like a right time, right book for me. And I think about that all the time now when I read books about like if I didn't like it, I'm like, right book, wrong time.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, it helps because I think we had just read Recursion before that, and that was such a huge, like, mind.
Kind of a heavy lift. Like,
yeah. So having a really easy, like, cute read was, that was literally the perfect little break that I needed.
It's what we needed. So, I think about right place, right time a lot with books now.
I do too. And where you are at with what you're reading matters, and then what you expect from the book matters.
Expectations.
What's going on in your life?
Yeah, I think this book suffered from expectations because a lot of people thought this was going to be a cutesy, like almost like Halloween-y, Salem, like witchy, and that was not at all what it was.
I didn't expect that. I actually remember someone saying, "Oh, it's like a field hockey team in Salem," and I was like, I honestly, like, I didn't actually think that the synopsis actually sounded that interesting to me at the time, but I feel like the content actually was really good. I just had a really hard time reading it because it was so confusing to me. But I did tell Bailey this, but I am reading that Storm. I feel like I talk about this on every book club episode because I've been reading these books for so long. But these like 1,000 to like 1,500 page books, like the current one I'm reading is 1,300 pages. It's the Stormlight Archives, and I've been reading those. And I was in the middle of the fourth one, and I was like, I'm gonna need to start We Ride Upon Sticks. And the fourth one has been my favorite so far. Oh, and so I was kind of like, I feel like it's drawing me away from that. Yeah, and so that also I think impacted how I felt about it, because I was like, and I would be reading it and I would be frustrated because, like I said, I had to like reread. And at some point I was like, you know what, whatever. If I didn't get it the first time, I'm moving on. But at first I was like I was rereading stuff and I was like, this is so frustrating. Like, I feel like I'm reading this book twice basically because I have to reread everything. And I have another book that I really am wanting to read. And so I do think that makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, I hope we get another weird pick.
Our next one's not weird. It's a romance, which we haven't done.
It's Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry.
Yes. And Brittany picked this one.
Done a romance in a little while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. And we were saying that last book club. I think we were like saying we haven't really done a romance in a while.
Those pictures of you romance.
Kind of. It was sad. It was like grief and romance.
It was another coming of age kind of too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because you kind of go back to their past of like being teenagers and stuff. Yeah, there were romantic elements, but I wouldn't classify it as romance. Yeah.
I'm excited for this next book. I think this book for me will be right place, right time.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Cool. I haven't started it yet, but
I've already read it, but I read it when it came out a couple months ago.
You and Brittany both have already. The other Brittany have both read it already, and when Brittany Hull was asking me if it was a good book, I was like, I know that Morgan has read it and I know Brittany's read it, but I don't know if anybody else has read it, and I don't think anybody else has, but a lot of people like Emily Henry. So
Emily Henry is always going to be like a must read for me because I love
me too. Me too. I've never disliked one, which maybe this one will be different because you didn't love this one.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, Great Big Beautiful Life.
Yes.
Okay, Emily Henry.
Great BBL. That's what it gets memed on.
Wait, what's BBL?
I feel like you asked this last time.
Oh my god,
Brazilian butt lift.
Oh yes, I have asked that.
Yeah. I was gonna say you know what it is.
I just can't pull I remember asking that, but I couldn't remember the answer.
Yeah,
Maybe I just need to listen better.
Well, I'm excited for that one. I thought this discussion was fun, even though I got 5% in.
Yeah. If you have read this book, We Ride Upon Sticks, and you ranked it really highly or rated it really highly, but whatever you rated it.
You just read it.
At all. Yeah. You should leave a comment and tell us your thoughts, because I am so curious what the internet thinks about this book.
Apparently people really like it on the internet.
It's like rated 4 stars.
Yeah. It's rated really highly.
Yeah. I want to hear why.
Yeah. I want to hear if you liked it, if you like other weird books.
Yeah.
Because if you've never read something like this, you're probably like either are going to love it because it's so new, or you're going to be like, what the hell is this? Like, there's going to be no in between.
Yeah. I want to read a couple and then get back to you and tell you if the weird bothers me or not.
Yeah. I think that's everything I had.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for this book?
No, just we love you, Shelby. Sorry nobody liked your book except for me.
Oh yeah,
her. She also hated it.
She didn't like it either.
She was roasting it more than anything.
Yeah. Also, we all kept saying like the ratings of your book do not reflect you as a person at all.
How we feel about you.
Yes. In any way, shape, or form.
No.
So yeah. All right. Well, next book club episode will be in a month-ish.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll catch you on Monday.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Fun book club episode. I'm like in the middle of this one. I was like, we should have you on all of book club episodes.
I love talking about books.
Me too. Yeah,
it's fun.
All right.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's all get our cups.
Oh, okay.
And cheers.